On a cold winter night, Ralph discovered a cat on his doorstep, meowing insistently to be let inside. He had no idea what this encounter would bring, but he quickly realized that the cat had a delightful surprise in store for its rescuer. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. When Ralph got up to make himself a cup of hot chocolate during the commercial break, he never expected to find someone waiting for him on the porch. The night was frigid, with an icy wind howling outside, and the weather forecast warned of snow arriving early in the morning. But as he walked past the front door, he spotted a cat sitting there, pressing its nose against the glass and silently meowing. The moment the cat saw him, she raised one of her fluffy white front paws and tapped on the glass as if to say, "Hey, could you please let me in?" Ralph approached the door, and the cat immediately stood up. It felt almost as if it were destiny that he would open the door. There was no chance he could refuse such a determined plea for help. He unlocked the door, and as soon as he opened it, the cat quickly squeezed through the gap. A gust of icy wind rushed in with her, and Ralph felt a wave of sympathy for her plight. How long had she been waiting out there? Once inside, he closed the door, noting that while the cat was mostly dry, her fur was speckled with icy droplets. She shook herself, sending a few drops splattering onto the carpet. Upon closer inspection, Ralph saw that she was truly a beauty, with fluffy white striped fur and a magnificent plume of a tail. She looked fairly well fed, certainly not the type of cat one would expect to find outside on a cold winter night. Ralph went into the kitchen to prepare his hot chocolate and heated up some milk for the cat. He poured it into a small bowl and carried it into the hallway. After a brief hesitation, she began to lap it up. Once she finished, she followed him into the kitchen, moving slowly and stopping often to sniff around and inspect every corner. Ralph gently stroked her soft fur, and she responded with loud purring, rubbing against his leg as if to forge a bond. It was clear she was trying to befriend him. "Don't worry about the cold," Ralph reassured her. "You can stay overnight or as long as you like." As soon as these words left his lips, he realized that he actually meant them. He was fully prepared to shelter this cat for a few days or even weeks. This was the first time in his life that he spent time with a pet that did not belong to a friend or relative. As a child, he loved dogs and desperately wanted a puppy for his birthday. But since he grew up in a high-rise apartment building, this was impossible, so he had to be content with playing with his friends' dogs. After 2 years in the Army, his first civilian job involved a lot of travel. He visited many interesting places and enjoyed the regular change of scenery, but this prevented him from rushing to the shelter and finally getting the pet he had always dreamed of. That's why he eventually decided to change jobs, settle down, and get his own home. It took the better part of a year to take his first steps, and finding a place where he felt at home was no easier. That's why, in a way, he was jealous of the cat. When the cat finished the milk, Ralph gave her a plate of leftover chicken, but she didn't seem to be hungry and just started eating. After that, he returned to his sports game. Even if his attention was focused on something else, he looked up from his hot chocolate to notice the cat peeking into the living room. She greeted him with a cheerful meow and stared in surprise at the huge TV screen. Ralph turned down the volume, hoping that she would join him, but the football excitement apparently didn't appeal to her much, because she didn't stay in the room for more than a few moments. A few minutes later, he heard a plaintive meow in the corridor and stopped playing completely to check on his new feline guest. The cat carefully examined all the rooms. The bedrooms were of particular interest to her, and she spent some time kneading the blanket on Ralph's bed. She also jumped onto a few chairs and onto the windowsill, where she watched the snowflakes softly fall from the sky. In the guest bedroom, she let out another pitiful meow in front of the closet doors. Ralph unlocked them, and the cat walked inside without hesitation. Soon, she needed a folded blanket, which was on the bottom shelf. Her purring was so loud that it bounced off the wooden walls. Ralph watched her work and laughed. He had little experience with cats, but this cat seemed to feel right at home. He felt strangely proud that she felt safe in his home, and decided that a few scratches on the blanket were not too high a price to pay for company. The cat spent the entire evening in Ralph's guest room. She acted peacefully and friendly towards her new owner, purring whenever she saw him. She didn't want to eat anymore, but she still took the bowl of water that Ralph had left for her after checking on her for the last time. Ralph went to bed. The next morning he set to work, trying to determine if the cat belonged to one of his neighbors. He took 2 photographs and showed them to everyone, but no one in the area knew the cat or had seen it before. Ralph checked the bulletin boards for missing cats, but couldn't find any descriptions that matched the cat that had now taken up residence in his guest room. He left messages in neighborhood groups and on social media, but received no response. Several people suggested giving the cat to an animal shelter, but Ralph couldn't bring himself to send her away. It was obvious that she trusted him from the very beginning. Resigned to the fact that the cat would have to spend a second night under his roof, Ralph went to get cat supplies. He received a litter tray as well as some cat food and a large cat bed. The cat didn't want to eat anything, but she liked the new bed. And when Ralph took her favorite blanket out of the closet, it was just perfect. Her lack of appetite worried him. Besides, she was cold to the touch, and Ralph wondered if she had caught some kind of insect while she was outside. He brought an extra blanket and a heating pad to the cat's bed. She was glad that it was time for her to go to bed, but she was still worried. Ralph visited her often, and every time she purred loudly. He assumed that she would have scratched him, or at least hissed at him, if she was truly in discomfort, and decided that he would not insist that she eat. Perhaps she was just adjusting. Towards evening, the snowfall intensified. The cat was still worried, but Ralph made sure the room was warm and cozy before he went to bed. The next morning, he woke up to great surprise. When he entered the guest room, he was greeted by a quiet chorus of cat voices. The cat was resting in her new soft bed, but she wasn't alone. She gave birth to 3 adorable kittens overnight. It was then that he realized that she was not plump, but simply swollen due to pregnancy. And that meant she was probably lost. Still, she looked so proud of her work, and Ralph felt his heart swell with love for all of them. A few days later, he put his newborn feline family in a pet carrier and took them all to a nearby veterinary clinic. Everyone was given a health certificate, and he immediately prescribed their first vaccinations. By this time, the very thought of keeping them seemed unthinkable, and when a month passed and no one tried to lay claim to either the mother or the babies, he realized that literally overnight he had become their official owner. When the kittens grew up and began to play with each other, Ralph bought them a lot of toys. The mother cat became his best protective friend, and as a responsible pet owner, he arranged for her to be spayed. Ralph, who lived with a family of 4 cats who adored him, felt that his home had finally turned into the cozy home he had always dreamed of. Have you ever, out of compassion, allowed a strange cat or any other animal into your home? Tell us what happened in the comments below. If you liked the story, then no doubt the next video that appears on your screen will also touch you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give a thumbs up, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our next videos. I kiss you warmly and see you in the next story.